Hey guys, this is a short basics and fundamentals tutorial for new players of Oxygen Not Included. I emphasize short because I was really frustrated when I first started playing the game. There were only guides and tutorials that were 30 minutes to an hour long, and I watched plenty of them only to gain tidbits here and there. This video is meant to cover the absolute core fundamentals for you to start playing around, be creative, and progress in the game. Disclaimer, no hate to the Oxygen Not Included content creators. There are a ton of really good video guides out there, just very long and sometimes hard to find what's absolutely necessary. Before we get into it though, I want to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, your mom, because she's been instrumental in making this video, so I just wanted to, really support your mother. So we're going to start off with the extreme basics. The first thing that your duplicants can do is dig. So we're going to activate the dig command, that's G as the default hotkey, or this button down here, and as they're digging, you'll start seeing materials and resources drop to the floor. This is sandstone. And as it drops to the floor, it's going to be adding up all the resources to the resource counter. What this means is that as long as your duplicant is able to reach these resources, they have access to it and can utilize that to build structures and do things with it. You actually don't need to build a storage bin to store all the resources to utilize them. So the most common digging and building structure is 4 tiles high. The reason for that is because duplicants can only reach 4 tiles up. They can't actually reach this 5th tile from the ground, and most buildings will fit within a 4 tile block. So what you want to do is start building things like in this manner. One, two, three, four, so on. And a little bit about duplicate movement is that they can actually jump up 2 tiles for movement, but when it comes to ladders, they cannot actually move onto a ladder if it is 2 tiles above it. It has to be 1 tile above for the duplicant to reach that ladder. Every building requires materials to be built, and the first thing we're going to build is an outhouse. And if you look here, the outhouse requires sandstone. And we have sandstone on the ground from digging earlier, so we can actually start building that. However, there are certain buildings that will require different materials, such as metal ore. So if we're looking to build, say, an oxygen diffuser, one of the first things that allows you to create oxygen, it says we're missing metal ore. Metal ore can include things like copper and iron ore. So we're going to go ahead and dig out this copper ore. Copper ore is now in the base, and now we can build an oxygen diffuser. Many buildings will require a constant supply of resources for them to properly function. So the first easy example of this is the oxygen diffuser. It creates oxygen, and if you click here and then click on the icon, you can first build it with copper ore, and it tells you right here exactly what you need for it to function. So it's going to need algae, 550 grams per second, and power for it to produce oxygen and heat. So if you click on the oxygen diffuser, you can see exactly some of the red statuses in the information box, as well as what it's producing or what it's capable of producing. So right now it's not producing anything because the gas pressure is too high, so it's not outputting oxygen. There's already enough oxygen in the area. But it can produce 500 grams a second of oxygen. And if you click on anything else like a duplicant, you can see its status. This is Bubbles, and she is currently hungry. But she also consumes 100 grams per second of oxygen. So, meaning one oxygen diffuser can support up to 5 duplicants in the beginning. Also, if you click on buildings, it'll show you other red statuses that will tell you why it's not working. This building is currently not connected to a power grid, the research station, and that is why it cannot function. In addition, if you click back on the oxygen diffuser, and scroll to the bottom of the info box, it has a lot of stuff here. The contents tells you exactly what's inside the oxygen diffuser. So we just had a duplicant, he delivered some algae to the oxygen diffuser, and now it's within the contents. So one of the things I was very confused about in the beginning was how water and pitcher pumps work. So in order to get water bottles, you need pitcher pumps. So I'll build one here, and you need to have these wires showing in order for it to actually get the water. So what this allows duplicants to do is they'll walk on this platform that's walkable, they'll pump up some water and turn it into bottles that look like these. Now they'll deliver the water bottles to buildings that would need it. Right now there are no buildings that need it, but to give you an example, we can do a bottle emptier, which we'll build here, and the bottle emptier will allow these water bottles to be emptied as long as we select the right water. So we're going to select water to show that it's going to take water from the ground and then pour it into the bottle emptier. Now it gets poured onto the ground. Usually it can be brought to buildings. We can also select polluted water and it'll do the same thing. Another last thing with this is that if you enable auto bottle, the option here in the bottom right, what this means is that any pitcher pump that is available, they will get water from and then just pour it directly into the bottle emptier. So they're gonna get the water directly from the pitcher pump and then deliver it to the bottle emptier. It's just a method of moving water if you need to. So let's go over the overlays. So the overlays on the top right, and the most important one you'll come across is the oxygen one, and it'll show you how much oxygen is in the map for your duplicants. You want enough for your duplicants to survive. As you progress through the game, you'll go through the power one, the temperature one, materials, plumbing and ventilation, etc. The most important ones to worry about in the beginning are definitely the oxygen, the plumbing, and the ventilation. So the plumbing one shows the liquid pipes, the ventilation one shows the gas pipes. And when it comes to plumbing and ventilation, I just built a quick liquid pump here. If you're trying to deliver water somewhere or gas somewhere, you need a liquid or a gas vent to be able to pump it out. And then if you go over the plumbing overlay, you can see the water pumping out here. If you go to the ventilation will be pumping out gas here. This is a liquid reservoir tank, water tank, and this is a pump. And the output is always the up arrow. The input is always the down arrow. What this is saying is this pump is outputting water and throwing it into the liquid reservoir. Also, overlays will allow you to deconstruct specific buildings if you don't want to deconstruct everything. So if you notice I try to deconstruct everything here, it'll basically get everything. But if I were to put on the power overlay, look at the power, and then try to deconstruct this, it'll only deconstruct the power lines in this process. Another really important overlay is the materials overlay. It'll allow you to see all these different materials, and you can filter for things like as metal or gas or liquids. One of the most common ones I use is gas, so it'll allow you to see which one's in your base. There's a cell of polluted oxygen here, there's hydrogen here, etc. As well as metals. So if you're looking at metals, you can find gold amalgam, iron ore, copper, etc. It's much easier to find that way. So let's talk about those square tiles I mentioned earlier. If you notice here, the water is almost covering the top, but if we go into the materials overlay and then go to the liquids, you'll notice that the water encompasses the entire square tile. No other substance, liquid or gas, can be in the same tile. It's only going to include water. So we go to the gas, you'll notice right above it is a whole nother square tile of carbon dioxide. Another one above that is oxygen. So these square tiles that include water can only have water, and these gas tiles can only have that corresponding gas. This will be increasingly more important as the game progresses, as you're managing liquids and gases. So another piece of information that's really useful is if you click on that cell, that square tile of water, it'll tell you exactly how much water there is. This one has 133 kilograms of water. So when you're watching other YouTube videos about guides and they mention, oh, I want 2 tons of water in this enclosure, that's what they mean. They're looking at each cell, each square tile, and adding up each of this water. So 2 tons would be about 500 kilograms and 4 tiles worth. And here's some simple math. Since I'm your typical dumb American, I grew up on the American measurement system. So here's a quick reminder for some metric system numbers that could be helpful in the game. One key thing to note is a metric ton is 1,000 kilograms. I'm used to the American systems where a ton is like the negative square root of 500 pounds or something. But you'll notice in the game here that the A metric ton is denoted as a T in the resources. All right, so let's talk about skills, priorities, and scheduling. So every now and then at your printing pod, your original base printing pod, you'll have a new blueprint and new duplicant skills. So a new blueprint means you can take in new stuff that's coming into your base. It could be duplicates or it could be items. And just be careful in the beginning of accepting duplicants because they can, every duplicant is a additional strain on your resources. When you go back to the printing pod and you go to the duplicant skills, there's a whole bunch of list of duplicant skills here, and you can read them if you hover over them. Just note that each additional skill your duplicants take will also increase the amount of morale needed for them to have manageable stress levels. So for scheduling, the schedule button's at the top. If you want to have some duplicants have a different schedule, just add a new schedule. And then to move your duplicates, you click this drop down. Let's say we want Ada to have this new schedule. We can increase the amount of downtime by clicking downtime, giving her more downtime, giving her maybe some more bedtime. This will help reduce her stress. And if you notice, the downtime will actually change the downtime morale bonus here. The maximum number is 4, but you can adjust it as you're playing to have the desired effect. So this actually is affecting your skills section here, where the more morale you get will actually increase the cap for your morale needs. So one thing about stress, the stress meter is at the top left, and if your duplicant's getting too stressed out because you're yelling at them too much, then you can always make a nice massage table for them, and then as long as it's in a massage clinic room, then they can start using the massage table. And what this meter is saying is that once the duplicant's stress gets to 40% or higher, they'll start using the table. It starts getting reduced, and they'll stop using it once it gets reduced to 0%. For priorities, there are 2 sections. One is the top button here, and if you press that, there is the duplicants, the task categories at the top here, and you can increase a category priority for a duplicant to do a specific category by left clicking, or you can right click it to reduce it. The other section is the bottom button priority here, and this actually changes the priority of the specific task or building, and we can change all of these to 9, which is the highest priority, or we could even change it to top priority, meaning these will be done no matter what, and everything else will stop in the tracks before it's done. Now I just mentioned rooms, and so when you're first starting out, you'll want to start creating specific rooms for things. The reason why is because if you go to the room overlay at the top right and hover over the specific rooms, certain ones like the Great Hall will give you +6 morale bonus, which is really good for those skills that I mentioned earlier. And so when you go to the rooms, to make a room, you have to enclose off the space. You can do it by having a normal standard door and then having met the requirements of that said room. So for example, bedroom is saying +2 morale bonus. What it needs is a single comfy bed, no cots, no industrial machinery, etc. And so this is a bedroom right here. It meets the requirements and it gives +2 morale. Now the last thing I wanted to go over was Atmo suits. I had a lot of trouble with these things when I first started playing, and it took me a lot of trial and error to figure out why there were so many issues with it. And this also applies to oxygen masks, but the most common use is Atmo dock or Atmo suits, so I'll go over those. And so this is the Atmo suit checkpoint, and don't mind everything else, just focus on this area and this area. So the Atmo suit checkpoint is required to be next to an Atmo suit dock. This is one of those right here, and so I just undocked one of the suits, but the Atmo suit docks hold the suits. The checkpoint needs to be connected to one of the docks, and this can actually prevent duplicants from passing by if you select vacancy only, meaning right here, clearance vacancy only. If you select vacancy only, that means if only a suit is available, then can a duplicant pass. Now you can select always clearance always as well, but you may run into trouble where this is blocking your duplicant's navigation. So this is the navigation path, and so sometimes this can actually block them completely from moving past, even when it's clearance always if there are no suits available. And so to prevent that, you can also disable the Atmo suit checkpoint in order for duplicants to just pass by freely. So that may be an issue you may run into. The other thing is you also need to power it as well as filter gas through it. You'll need to filter oxygen to each of the suits, and this is just a simple and dirty gas pump into gas filter, filtering for oxygen, and as the oxygen passes into the gas suits, that's how they get oxidized. The other thing is, in order to actually get the suits, you need to build it from a forge, and so there's an exosuit forge under the stations button. And building one of these, you'll need both a copper or refined iron, as well as reed fibers. Reed fibers can be found in the swamp biomes. Don't be afraid to run into them and then just grab them. They'll be found in these greenish biomes, and they'll look like something like thimble reeds, like these plants or the seeds. So just grab those, and you can farm those and make some more reed seeds, thimble reeds, and then you can make the Atmo suits within the exosuit forge. That's all for today, guys. This was just a video I wanted to make because even if it was just simple things, I wish that I had this video when I was starting the game just so I could understand it. Let me know what you think in the comments, or if you just hate me and want me to eat a bag of dicks, also let me know in the comments. Alright, bye!